clearly, because he's very pretty. And
Wait, are you saying Thanos is not pretty?
oh, wow. Let's cut that out. Thanos is very pretty. Thanos is more classically handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, we are Screen Teachers. I'm Stephanie.
And I am me.
All right, she doesn't have a name again. This is like our 19th video. Okay, so we're talking Eternals. Eternals is the 26th in the MCU and the third in Phase 4 after Black Widow and Shang-Chi.
Does Venom
Yep.
count?
Does it? Y'all know say. Okay, so right off the bat, first thoughts, go.
I loved it. I mean, you could tell from the initial look of the trailers that it was going to be a large scale film with really beautiful shots, and that's what it was. And even though it was a large scale film, it still found a way to be intimate as well,
Okay.
I thought, especially with, dealing heavily with the interpersonal relationships of the gods and not so much like, oh, they can do this cool thing, they can do this, they can do that cool thing.
Okay.
So I loved it. I think they picked a great director for the job, and I liked that it was so different, and it's kind of like a renaissance of like that period where the MCU were testing out different genres, sort of like when we got the heist Ant-Man film and then the spy Winter Soldier film. So to me, I think this one's probably a large scale indie feature. That's kind of like my take on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And you?
Oh, okay. I thought the film was very bold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was not bad. I do not know why critics are hating it as ridiculously as they are. I also would think that I only have, I think, maybe possibly one small minor complaint, but I don't know if it's just me or if it's just, whatever. The film is not bad. I think it's ambitious. Like I already mentioned, bold. I think it was kind of a new way to, have the whole humanity discussion. Cause I feel like in all the superhero movies, it's always like, but humans matter. And then, sometimes we don't matter the big features with aliens and space monsters and all that stuff. Like we are insignificant to them. I would have to say that I think that they marketed this film as a superhero movie, and it kind of wasn't. It was, it was kind of very like family oriented. It's basically like a family that split up and has to come back together because of a death in the family. Mm-hmm. The whole humanity as a whole took place within the family and dealing with what they think is right. And that was like considered a family decision. And I think for one thing about the critics to complain that, Marvel and the MCU has a formula, and this one goes against every type of formula that people say the MCU has or does. And, people are not okay with it. So I'm really, I have a few reasons why people are not okay with it, but I will just move on past that. Okay, what caused Ajax to separate? Why do you think that is?
So, as far as we can tell, Ajax retains all of her memories because she's been the leader. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm assuming. Each time that there's been a birth of a new galaxy, she's, been the head of the Eternals and has guided them through the process each time. I wonder, since she had done this so many times, maybe she had never experienced her fellow teammates kind of going through that whole, or not that whole, but going through a change within themselves. And maybe she recognized that these weren't the same group of Eternals that she would deal with on a regular basis. These Eternals were heavily in touch with like feelings and their reactions to their feelings. And so my thinking is that this is probably the first time she's done this. And I wonder if, okay, the moment when she first has her conversation with Arisham, and I think she starts to say something about the planet, and Arisham cuts her off. So she was feeling it too, and I wonder if she had been feeling it since before. Like she's she's done it for so long. She's watched countless galaxies or planets get devoured for the namesake of more lives. But what about the lives that you sacrifice? So I'm thinking that she hopefully kind of kept doing it to find a team that would maybe help change the status quo.
Okay, yeah.
And so I think that was another reason of why she allowed them to go off and live their separate lives, because that doesn't seem like something that they would do.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like something that, that they would be ordered to do. And now Arisha wants you to go and live a full life amongst these people that we're going to slaughter in a few thousand years, So
were you thinking that, since you said it maybe was the first time for her, do you think that in all the other galaxies that they have just all stood together and waited around for thousands and thousands of years, but together? So that's what you're saying?
Yeah. She was waiting for it to be, a unit and not just a singular person feeling a certain way. Yeah, Kingo. I want to see a snippet of little baby Thor chasing him around.
It would have been cool if we would have got to see that with the kid who played young Thor in the first Thor, but that kid is probably 20 years old now. Yeah. So probably can't do that scene. But yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Oh, I was going to say something earlier when you were talking about how the trailers try to sell it as a superhero film, but it's not that. Watchmen, same thing. Those with the way the film is marketed is if it's a superhero movie, but if you don't know the story going in, what you get is completely different. Because
that's true.
Yeah, because we hadn't read the comic when we knew it was a novel, like we knew it was a graphic novel, but we didn't know the story going in. So I think you and I even had a different experience when we went to go see Watchmen in theaters for the first time versus the people who knew the story and went to go see the movie.
I'll definitely say that on my second watch, the conversation between Icarus and Ajax, when she was telling him to pursue Cersei, I thought that conversation made a lot more sense second time around, because he was basically saying, I don't want to get involved with Cersei because we have a mission. And she's like, well, we waiting a long time to not, have a relationship with someone just to die and do it all over again. So you might as well, you're stuck here for thousands of years. You might as well have a relationship with them. So I thought that the second time around, that conversation made so much more sense to me.
Do you think that also might have been her trying to break down his walls, because she could tell that he was apprehensive a little towards, or a little disconnected from his environment, I guess?
Probably. I think you could tell that he probably liked her, but was emotionless towards what they were doing, because he knew that it was going to end, and they actually had a mission that only him and Ajax knew about. So I'm wondering, is Ajax, told Icarus because he was the strongest? And so I'm not concerned, I don't know why I use that word, but in that scene where they made everybody separate, was that before or after him and Cersei got married?
I can't remember. I think it was after. It was after.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's tackle that. So after that scene, and of course that was the same scene when Druig was, really upset about what they're doing in their mission. And second time around, that actually made me tear up. I think, your first Marvel movie, you're like,
I know.
And then the second time you're like, my notebook and my paper. So the second time I was just like, oh God, I agree. That's so true. I mean, I saw something else about the dialogue being like kind of stiff, and I didn't think that.
I didn't think so.
I didn't think that either, especially for that scene, because that scene kind of hurt my feelings. My eyeballs were sweating.
Yeah, I like the going back and forth between present day and the past. I thought that every scene helped to build on the character. from the previous scene. This happened here. You know, it was kind of like showing cause and effect and all of that, but it was doing it very well. Like, I thought it had a very good pace throughout most of the film, and I like that they took their time going to reconnect with everyone, which is why I said it reminded me of Watchmen, because it's, you know, it's not a superhero film, but it took a death for them to, you know, kind of come back together.
Yeah, very Watchmen-y. And also, you already mentioned that, but then again, it was the same thing with Dr. Manhattan. He's like, we need to create one giant monster so we would end the war. And you know, that was something that people were either for or against. And I feel like the same thing that happened at the end of Eternals, when they had that, I mean, not the end, but you know, when they find out what their mission actually is.
Right. Because it involves killing people along the way, you know, whether it is for the greater good or not. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Yeah, it just helped to like cause and effect, and like building on the character and what we know of them and how they're going to react maybe in the next situation.
That's
and
true.
So I just really like that they took their time, because, you know, it kind of is the contrast to Infinity War, where everything's moving so fast at the beginning. And it was fast, but it took its time. But still, it's like, it's going on to the next thing. We gotta, you know, everybody's gonna be, you know, fighting by the end of this film. You know, the moments that they were working well together, moments where things started to fall apart, and then, you know, then jump to where they are present day and how they've chosen to live their lives. I like the way Arishem appears at first.
Yeah.
Because they did a really good job of hiding the scale, because it's like she appears in this place and she's standing on like this big red road with lights, right? And, you know, if you don't know what he looks like, she's, you know, standing on his face basically.
I didn't think she was standing. I thought she was.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah,
like,
but I'm sure
like this. Like, these are both their heads. It's just
the ratio, the angle. Are you gonna use the robot?
The robot. Like, here's Irishem's head.
Yeah.
I have nothing small. There's literally nothing small enough to use as this, but this is literally it. Like, this is the Eternals. But I mean, this is Celestials right here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it looked like she was standing on his face, which is not what was happening. It's just that's how large these beings are.
They were just large creatures.
Yeah.
And
so yes. I really love that. And I love the way he looked. It wasn't like sleek. It was he looked worn.
Yeah, like he is getting into a fight a couple times in his life.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, plot twist. I wonder if any other, if they have to look for fellow Eternals, is there another one who's at, are the powerful, have powerful Eternals? I mean, of course, they're gifted power from the Celestials. Has any of them attacked Arishem because they found out the truth? So that would be cool, because he looks all weathered. So imagine someone.
You think
I'm sure they couldn't do much damage, like they're Celestials, but I mean,
right.
I'm sure someone with Icarus's eyeballs, cosmic beams, could, like, you know, do some burn on on a giant celestial head.
Yeah, so it seems like they've never had a problem with an uprising from their creation, their children, their Eternals. Do you think going forward the Celestials would continue to make Eternals, but make them without the knowledge or the equipment to do a Unimind, which would ultimately stop them again? Or which could be, you know,
maybe. That's a good point. I like that.
Basically, they would neuter them as they're coming out, and they would still have total control, you know, over them.
I love the word neuter.
Huh?
I love the word neuter.
Neuter. Neuter. So present day, Sprite and Cersei and Dane are having a casual stroll down the streets of London. And, you know, the Deviant shows up and they all start fighting in the street. And Icarus shows up, shrouded in darkness, like a Night Stalker. He did it. Did you get the same vibe?
I didn't get that Icarus was a bad guy, and I thought, when I watched it the first time, I was just like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, he sucks. Like, I wasn't expecting him to be the bad guy. I really thought they were just going to do the Unimind, get try to get the Celestial to fall back asleep, but all of them put together. And I thought that Crow would have a bigger part.
Yeah.
I thought that Crow would be the actual villain of the film. Like, not the fact that there's this sleeping Celestial underneath Earth that's been just waiting for the emergence. Like, I really thought that, the villain would be Crow.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe that possibly could be another reason why people are not, as so accepting to this film, because there was no big alien space battle. It was a fight amongst the family.
Mm-hmm.
And is, but what they thought was right. And who's to say? Like, of course, everybody, and the Karun, he made the statement, I'm biased, save everybody on Earth because I'm human. And I thought that made a lot of sense, especially when you find out that Icarus is the one that, pretty much betrayed the rest of everyone and, killed Ajax. But technically, he was following orders. So it was like, but notice how, but I didn't, obviously, like I said, I didn't pick this up until the second time, was when Icarus asked Cersei if she was sure. She talked to Arisham, because he probably thought he would be able to talk to Arisham after Ajax died, because he was second or whatever. So I thought that was interesting to add that he was hoping to talk to him, and if Cersei was sure, if it was Mad Weary, which I thought even was, which benefited the story, but also is kind of like him kind of saying, like, maybe you're crazy, maybe you won't find out the truth, maybe I can still get away with everything without you actually knowing. And he said that at the end. He said, I wish you didn't know. So maybe that's just another thing I picked up on the second time around. Yes, but like I said, I wasn't suspecting Icarus in the beginning at all. Like, I just thought he was there to, love Cersei, and broke up with her because he's a stupid man, and men break up with women for stupid reasons. I really thought that was it. So I thought he was a good guy.
Okay.
He's so handsome. With his little skunk stripe in the front.
Will you say Thena was also sympathetic to humanity, towards humanity? Because during her Mad Weary, it almost seemed like she was kind of remorseful, or like trying to save someone or something. I don't know.
I think everyone in, what is it, Centurion 6 that is going to die. I just thought that her Mad Weary was kind of like her way of trying to tell everyone what was going to happen, but everyone just thought she was crazy. But it's interesting that no one put it together that, that was what was happening with her, that they were going from planet to planet to planet and just dying repeatedly. And, they can't die. So their memories are being erased at the end of all of this. They can do it again. But if the Celestials were erasing their memories and storing them in, what was that? Like an aquarium.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. A mind aquarium.
An aquarium with like glass crystals. And Sprite said when they did her memory, they messed up. So that was what was still in there. So I'm wondering if we'll actually get I'm sure we're not going to get a backstory on anybody's life beforehand, because it kind of doesn't matter since they aren't real. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Does that sound like that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm wondering, so basically I was wondering if you think Thena remembered Icarus from another time, and that he always followed orders maybe to the very end. And I think that's why she was sort of standoffish with him.
What did you have to say about the Domo?
Oh, it's freaking beautiful.
Yeah. When that ship showed up in the trailer the first time, I was like, that is amazing.
It's amazing. A beautiful ship.
Yeah. I think I will say that I think having a real set helped the story very well, because a lot of times a lot of these movies are just giant green screens with like one prop or two like laying around on the floor just to give it some real like definition and depth, but it helped the film. It really did. And I think that the whole picture was worth the real locations, the grand use of the CGI, and I think that was really good CGI use. And I think they probably had more of a budget because they used real set locations.
Yeah.
More of a budget for CGI. So, and yes, that's all I'm going to say. I think the Domo was very well. I think the entire layout of the film in general was just like really beautiful. And I love that the end of the film was like kind of fought on a beach.
Yeah.
Because that's random, right? Like they haven't fought on a beach in any other film. There's always a giant unibeam going up to space, and someone having to, turn off the unibeam. And
okay, so just to be clear, Makari was inside the ship when they got there.
It looked like she was just there, living there with millions of books and clothes and Twinkies for some reason.
But was the ship underground when they got there?
Yes.
Okay. How was she getting in and out, and can she phase like Barry and Wally West?
I literally just had this really weird epiphany. I'm just like, maybe she doesn't need to eat, and that's why she came out of there. And that's why she never left. But then I saw them all eating at that table. So I'm like, so they do eat. But should they eat since they're robots?
Have to eat?
Yeah.
I don't know. Where does it go? Do they use the bathroom?
I don't know. Gilgamesh pilot's so good though.
Yeah, that was a waste.
I know, man. Crust look good. Stove look good. Pie look good.
That's a question I want answered. Can Makari phase? Because when they get in the ship, it is like, hold up, was this thing just buried in the sand? How was she getting in and out? Like, or did she collect everything she needed before the sands covered it? Maybe. I mean, guess if those books were recent, then,
because those.
No, but she had Twinkies and chips.
She had books, bro. Mm-hmm. They books. So there must have been a way for her to get in and out of the ship underground.
She can phase. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, Makari can phase everybody.
Makari can phase.
Okay. So you wrote here Kingo leaving like Captain Marvel. What did you mean?
Oh. At the end of Shang-Chi, when she's like, I don't know what this is. Okay, bye. Or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when he left,
but no, I like that I like that everybody didn't have to choose a side definitively. I like that Kingo was brave enough to admit that like he doesn't think Icarus is wrong, and that this is the natural order of things, and he should follow orders, but he also doesn't want to kill anybody he loves to do that. So I liked that they included someone who was just conflicted. And I think, as we were saying, a lot of this was a mental war. It wasn't necessarily hand to hand. Like, I mean, I wouldn't mind saying that the actual physical fighting, well, I guess it's not completely unnecessary, but I think it was a fight more about faith and I don't want to ramble too much.
No, I think you're right. It was about like us and humanity, and if we're worth saving, and
faith and humanity
and the natural order of life. Like someone has to die for someone else to live, and that's not necessarily true, but it's how the world is. I mean, we have no control over that.
Yeah, we wanted to see more of the deviants. I think
I need more Crow. Yeah, because I wanted to see him evolve again. Because he evolved twice in front of our eyes. I wanted to see more.
And I think it are the first colony or species that the deviants came across may have been, in fact, the Skrulls. Mm-hmm. May have been, I don't know. So that's interesting. But I did want to see him keep evolving. And did you say it already that it should have been the deviants and the Eternals fighting?
Oh yeah, they should have. I think since he knew what his plan was after he killed Ajax and Gilgamesh, and he was able to formulate words and thoughts, and he wanted to evolve. And I think that that reminded me very much of, what was that movie? I want to say I, Robot, but I think that's wrong. But also, we can also go back to why Ultron created Vision, to evolve, and preventing evolution was what the was the like a catch-22, because they weren't allowed to evolve. That's why they sent the Eternals to kill them, because they knew that they could, and that they would just control every planet they ever went to. But then he said they made Eternals to never evolve. Mm-hmm. But they kind of did once they find out the truth.
Because of Jeff Goldblum.
Life. And I think that was again a flaw in the design. Mm-hmm. So you can't really prevent that ever.
Oh, I forgot to say this. Now that you say flaw in the design, I was heavily thinking about Tron Legacy after I saw Eternals.
Why?
Because Clue is like, I created the perfect system, and Flynn's like, there is no perfect system. It's the flaws that, in game, Tony Stark says, we can all stand around here posing up a storm later.
Okay.
Every other shot where the Eternals posing, I think Yelena Belova would have had a good time hanging out with them and making fun of them.
She would have made fun of them the whole time. Mm-hmm. But she also would have been like, so you're robots. Okay. So anything else about the film you want to discuss before we talk about post credits?
I felt so bad for Sprite.
Yeah.
And you had talked about that moment where you didn't even notice that when she was at the wedding, she looked kind of miserable.
She's been wanting to stab Cersei for 7,000 years. And she finally got her chance.
Yeah.
And I think that and for people saying that there was no arc, that doesn't make any sense, because she had character development. Mm-hmm. And so did Cersei, and so did Icarus, and so did Gilgamesh, and so did Thena. I think the only person who had no character development would probably be Kango.
You think so?
Yeah, because he was just an actor. Mm. An actor for 150 years.
I love that whole Bollywood sequence.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting and kind of nice to see Bollywood kind of in front of everything.
Yeah.
And nice. And, they could have made him like an American actor who had been acting for 150 years, but having him be Bollywood was very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post credits or?
No, I'm still talking about Sprite. I just thought her story, no, it's fine. I just thought her story was sad. And so, we get to the end and she's stabbed Cersei, and she's like, I've had to live as a kid. I'll never get to do all these things that I didn't know that I wanted to do or that I wanted to experience. And then Druig hits her over the head with a rock.
Yeah.
And I felt like that scene was played for laughs.
But it wasn't funny.
But it wasn't funny. So when he hit her,
people were probably just laughing at the fact that she looks like a 14-year-old who got hit in the head with a rock.
No, but I'm saying your first inclination, I think, is to laugh when she gets hit with a rock. But it's like for me, it was like like I giggled, but I'm like, oh, I was still thinking about her story. Yeah. So it hurt to laugh in that moment, I guess, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It seemed to me like they were just like, this is a really hard moment. Now we're going to hit her with a rock, And so I just didn't like the transition out of it, is all I'm saying.
Well, I wonder if there's another way to end that scene without her being hit with a rock.
Mhm.
But at the moment, I felt like knocking her unconscious would probably be the best way for her to not fight anybody and not be able to use her power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it made sense to hit her with a rock.
Okay.
I mean, I've always wanted to hit a 14-year-old girl in the head with a rock.
Can Druig not control the other Eternals?
I was wondering that because I thought for sure he was just going to mind control Icarus. I was waiting for that. I was like, can he? I guess he's not, but can he? Because that would have been interesting, but I guess not. We'd have to ask Chloe Zhao.
Okay. I just thought it would have been interesting if he could mind control. Instead of that moment being a rock, he could have just mind controlled her to stop and just
and also out. He probably couldn't he have tried to figure out what was going on with Thena?
I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, can he rummage around in people's thoughts, or he can just take control of them?
I don't know.
I don't know if he can rummage around.
Guess we'll find that out in the sequel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but Makari and Druig are the new Bucky. Drukari, and they're the new Bucky and Sarah. So
they're not even Bucky and Sarah. They're beyond that now. they're Steve and Bucky.
They're Steve and Bucky.
Yeah. Steve and Bucky is the only canon that the Russo brothers will forever get hate mail for. Overall, I think that because the movie itself was about the Celestials and the Eternals, I think that one of the reasons people are not taking to it is because the name itself just promotes grand gesture space opera. I kind of felt like how I felt at the end of Passengers, because I hated Passengers and I thought it was going to be this big space beauty epic, and it was a freaking love story. So I think maybe that is what's turning people off about the movie, is that it's actually about a family and not about like a bunch of space aliens and robots and, you know, androids, aliens and wizards, you know what I mean? So people were expecting this big thing, this big blockbuster thing, and it wasn't. So that could be a reason why people are very unhappy with it. And I will never say that it's a bad movie. I will never say that I hated it. It was neither one of those things. It was just not what people expected. And I think that's what's driving people upset.
Yeah. But I mean, the trailers don't sell it as anything else, really. I mean, it sells it more as a superhero film, but looking at the trailer, if you look at that trailer versus you look at an Eternals trailer and you look at a Far From Home trailer, they both have superhero stuff in there, but the Eternals one doesn't look anything like what Far From Home's going to do. And that could be against any of the other ones, Ant-Man or Guardians.
Yeah. The movie itself is just very different from every other MCU film.
Do you think they were anticipating a Guardians type film? I mean, maybe. That's really the only other, okay.
But honestly, when I first saw the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this.
Same.
And you know, when I saw it, I was just like, this is different than what I expected, but they made it very campy and very funny. But with Eternals, it was kind of like the opposite. It was very like serious and about emotion, and I felt that scream. I felt it when Icarus killed Ajax. I felt that. It reminded me of that song from Asking Alexandria when he said, "You never said goodbye," when he screamed it at the end of that song.
Yeah.
I felt that hard. Because I was just like, I too have been meagerly depressed by an emo girl in 2009 with hair like this. And her name is probably Jess X Rar on her MySpace page with hair like this.
And don't forget the gratuitous nose or eyebrow piercing or lip piercing. Stop.
have a new friend on my MySpace page today.
Right. This was a well-rounded cast.
Yes.
I have seen other Angelina Jolie pictures, but I think this was my favorite performance from her. And I'm not saying across her entire career, but just in a while. And I like that the ensemble worked as an ensemble. Eros. First of all,
I am furious that
it was spoiled.
People spoiled. They should be fired, or at least never be allowed to work on a Marvel film again, ever be able to cover it, because that's rude as hell. Rude. Ruining things for me. I have never had to mute
so many words.
So many things in my life. I'm very upset. I see you.
And it's a lot of work to mute stuff too, because stuff still gets passed. You have to like change the spellings. You have to drop the S, add the S, capitalize something, lowercase something.
Eros, the brother of Thanos, who does not have the deviant gene, clearly, because he's very pretty. And
wait, are you saying Thanos is not pretty?
Oh, wow. Let's cut that out. Thanos is very pretty. Thanos is more classically handsome. Whereas Eros is more like commercially handsome.
Okay.
Two things about that. I am wondering, are we going to see a young Thanos and a young Eros on Titan? That's all I want to see immediately now. Also, where the hell has he been for 24 movies? And Thanos was in like 6 of those movies.
You know what's crazy is that I think a lot of this is going to be, there's going to be a lot of excuses. Oh, I was told not to interfere. You know, we're going to keep hearing those because of the snap.
Yeah.
I was told not to interfere. Oh, my timeline I was on a different, we have the multiverses broken open now.
Oh, so he's a variant.
Yeah, variants of everything. Yeah. Or maybe we're going to find out that Thanos's brother was killed in the 99999, the 999, that canon. But in the variant canon, he's still alive and well, and he and Thanos are BFFs, and I don't know.
My other thing is he had a celestial sphere.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he was like a rogue Eternal.
Well, isn't that what Thanos was, an Eternal? No? I thought they were Eternals, but he had a deviant gene or something. Am I misremembering? Maybe I'm misremembering. I might just be making stuff up right now on the spot.
He is.
He's an Eternal, right?
Eternal deviant.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a Bowflex.
Alrighty then. Okay, so Booyakasha.
Booyakasha. I just want to say, Pip showed up, and I was like, huh?
Camp.
Oh, absolute camp.
Pure camp.
And I was like, I recognize his voice. And it's Patton Oswalt.
I kind of wish they would have given that voice to someone else.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure Patton Oswalt is just super, super duper happy to be involved in anything.
Okay, so Patton Oswalt has now appeared on MODOK. He's now officially in the MCU universe, even though he was already officially in the universe on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Notice my pointed tone. So it's cool. It's cool that, he can.
Yes.
He can still keep, rejoining the franchise, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I had said this, but like, if it hadn't leaked online, I wouldn't have known that was Harry Styles.
Yeah.
I don't.
Was his hair supposed to be red?
Star Fox? Oh, and that's why I always say that I think That's why I always say I think Thanos told Star-Lord that he liked him because I think he kind of reminded him of his brother. That's what I always thought.
But I thought him and his brother hated each other in the comics. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so true. Mm-hmm. Anyways, okay. And you know his comic power, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to change.
Who's Arrows?
Yes. His power is basically he just fills, I would like to say women, but I assume it's both sexes with
love.
Yes. So he basically can control people's emotions.
Wait, so is it only the controlling of love?
Basically controlling of emotions, but
emotions, period. So he's an empath.
It's portrayed in the comics just like he's just using it to fuel his like sex craze.
Okay. So he's emotionally manipulating Dane and Blade. Please let Wesley Snipes be in the remake.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if he even wants to. I'm sure he would love to do something, but I wonder what his role would even be. Okay, post-credit scene part 2.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Post-credit scene part 2.
Oh, yeah. Second post-credit, Dane and Blade.
So in post-credit scene part 2, we see Dane Whitman, who gets the ebony blade, and the ebony blade like swooshes for him. When he like lands his finger in it, it's all swooshy. And then he says, what is that? Love requires death? Is that what it was?
I can't remember.
You know what? I meant to write it down, but I didn't because I'm stupid.
I will say this while you're looking it up. When you said that he can influence women, it made me think of season 3 of Legion. Because you remember he was living in a den surrounded by all those women.
Oh. Morris mihi lucrum, which means death is my reward. Death is my reward for accepting the ebony blade.
Right.
And then a very sultry, very scandalous voice says, "Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?" And I had no idea who that was the first time. No idea. I was like, I know that voice, but I also don't know that voice. And now that I know, it seems that we are getting this dark vampire werewolf type, stuff in the MCU faster than we thought. I mean, we already have Moon Knight coming. There's I don't know if Agatha's getting her own show or not. And The Werewolf by Night is coming. So this is just
is it live action?
Sort of opening a door, a little small door.
The Werewolf by Night is live action?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how I missed that.
Where are you?
I don't know, man.
They announced this months ago, but the Gael Garcia Bernal, they announced it like last week.
I like him though.
I posted it on our page.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I liked it too.
We have had 2 mentions of the word vampire so far in phase 4. And Mobius said it on Loki. And Karan thought Kingo was a vampire.
That part was so funny.
So it looks like I said, we'll be getting more darkness sooner than we thought. So The rumor mill is Ghost Rider is happening again. Like, I really hope it's Robbie Reyes. I really hope it's Diego Luna. I really want him back. But I don't know if China is still being very not okay with skulls. I just was trying to remember if they're not okay with Ghost Rider. Did they come out over there at all?
I don't know. Probably not.
I would have to ask the guys. Okay, so now that Blade is here, Blade was in this film. Well, just his voice. Do you think that now Dane Whitman is going to be a Moon Knight, since they're saying that Blade is a Moon Knight.
It's a possibility. Marvel is always trying to stay ahead of the curve. So do you think now their contracts come with, like, do you want your own, or your character may potentially be spun off into a Disney Plus series? Do you think that information is now included in their contracts? Do you think Angelina Jolie's character, has the potential to end up on a Disney Plus series?
Maybe. I mean, I think it would be a really long, have to go into a lot of detail to get any of the Eternals in a series. And I think it would have to be hour-long episodes, and at least at the bare minimum 12.
12-hour-long episodes?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe 8.
Yeah.
Or 10. 10's good. 10 is good. I can do a 10.
Excuse me. All right. Anything else about the Eternals?
No.
Okay. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching our video. We'll be back for the next blockbuster. Actually, we'll be back for the first episode of Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.